Everyone, my name is Dvir Tsanua from BLEE Hackathons. We are working with corporations for the past 4 years in order to make them work more like startups and innovate. And this is a short video on our approach on how to innovate in large or small corporations in the era of coronavirus. There are many ways for dealing with this crisis and trying to make businesses survive and even thrive in face of the virus. And this is our approach into how to do it like startups do. So most corporations are facing the same type of challenges. People in home quarantine, supply chains that have been broken or disrupted, and bans on international travel. We've been hearing about very widespread bans, but even more than all of these specific issues, what is really looming over everything here is the uncertainty over everything. This uncertainty is building up to be the highest since the 2008 crisis. And how the way people or corporations in general react to uncertainty is in one of two ways. It could take them either to paralysis or to creativity. We usually use this distinction for confusion. You have a paralyzing confusion or creative confusion. But this time it's the uncertainty. It's like the confusion times 1,000. So it's the 1,000 times paralysis, or it could be 1,000 times the creativity. Now you can leverage this uncertainty to a huge creative surge, this 1,000 times creativity, not only to survive this upcoming waves of the coronavirus, but even to create new growth engines. You know what happens now with the coronavirus? It forces us into the 21st century. People are working remotely. You have brand new ways for teams to collaborate with each other. And it's really an opportunity to create a whole new set of products that could serve as growth engines for you, not only during this crisis, but in the days after this crisis is over. In this slide, you can see two examples for it, and I think Netflix is the best example of how a company made the most out of a crisis. So how does a company go about moving from paralysis to creativity? And this is what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking the uncertainty and moving from being paralyzed by it to getting creative by it. What I want us to do is to look at what startup companies are doing in face of uncertainty. You know, startup companies are used to uncertain environments. It's part of their very nature. Startup companies have very limited set of funds and human capital. They have no time to waste. In the startup industry, there is a term called limited runway. Startup companies have very limited runways. They have to quickly adapt to the market. They have to quickly roll out solutions, test them, and work very closely. The entire team has to work very closely to succeed, or otherwise they disappear completely. And the startup companies that succeed are the startup companies that can really make it work, make uncertainty work. So we prepared 4 steps for you. These 4 steps will help get you moving towards creativity in one day. You only need one day to start moving from paralysis to creativity. We've based these 4 steps on lessons that we've learned from the startup industry, and we've done it successfully. As I said before, we've been doing this for the past 4 years. We've been taking startup industry methodologies and adapting them to the corporate world. So here are the 4 steps. First step is to identify a challenge or a set of challenges to work on. You cannot solve everything at the same time. You have to look at it wisely. Now, how does a company go about picking the best challenge? Here are a few distinctions that can help you with it. The first distinction is to be proactive rather than reactive. That means looking at the areas of your business or of your operations. That means either outward facing and or inward facing, where you've been reacting to things, whether it's reacting during the corona crisis or even before, and looking where you can get proactive. Where you've been reactive is where you've been paralyzed. Second is important versus urgent. If you're still using the usual assumptions that you've always used to run your business, you've probably got this classification out of order. You don't want to look only at what's urgent, but also at what's important for the business, for its longevity. And the third distinction is looking at must have, good to have, or nice to have. Usually when there's a time of crisis, there's a lot of challenges and a lot of ideas. Some of the challenges, if solved, it would be nice to have or good to have, but you want to get your priorities right and first work on the challenges that are absolutely must have. After you've picked the challenge, and that's the second step, and I believe it's most companies look at it as the most complicated step, but it's really, once you get the concept right, it's really not that complicated. The second step is creating an environment that encourages creativity in order to meet the selected challenges. Now, we are a company that specializes in hackathons because hackathons imitate very closely what happens in the startup industry. But this environment does not necessarily have to be a hackathon. You can open a suggestion box competition or any other activity in your organization that you can facilitate remotely now that people are in home quarantine or cannot travel. You should invite as many people as you can in your organization to come up with ideas to meet the challenges. Now, here are some guidelines on how to get it right. First, you have to realize that your people know best where you can cut costs and where your opportunities lie. You cannot do it by executive management alone. You have people working in your organization, they know your product, they know your processes, they have good ideas. Now, you want to break your organization's barriers. You want to get people working from different departments and from different levels in the hierarchy, raising ideas together. The format of a hackathon is really best for it. By the way, a hackathon is not necessarily for technology-based solutions. You can use a hackathon in order to come up with ideas in general, making up business plans, creating new models, and so on and so forth. So you get people working in small, agile teams, and don't be afraid to mix them up. Make these groups as versatile as you can in order to make sure that the ideas people come up with to meet the challenge are realistic from the business perspective, from the operations perspective, and from other important perspectives like regulation and the health concerns during the time of the coronavirus. So I just want to repeat the first two steps again. First step, find the challenges that you want to work on based on the distinctions that we gave you. And the second step is to take these challenges and throw them into an environment of creativity. We recommend it to be a sort of a competition or a hackathon in which people work in small mixed teams on coming up with solutions to these challenges. Step 3, now you have the list of solutions that people have come up with. Implement and do it fast. Make the implementation fast. Don't think too much and don't go through all the old slow processes that you would usually do. Recognize the ideas publicly, the best ideas, and then start implementing them and measuring them. The faster you can do the implementation and the more you recognize the teams that have come up with these solutions, it would build trust and it would build engagement within your organization. Now, the more you do this, the idea owners and the teams and the entrepreneurs in your organization will be even more motivated to implement the ideas and come up with more ideas. And I think even more important than all these, people are now they are paralyzed, they are in shock, and they are very confused. And doing something like this really raises morale because it shows that you trust them and it provides them with leadership. It shows them that the organization is working towards something, that it's focused on the challenges, and that it's brave enough in order to create this virtual environment for them to come up with ideas. Step 4 is repeat, repeat, repeat. These ideation sessions in which people come up with solutions, as we said before, it shouldn't take more than one day. Repeat it. Work on one challenge every day. Now, this is a changing environment. Every day we learn something new. Keep repeating these steps every week to always stay one step ahead. Now, look, people have been sitting still and waiting to see how things unfold in order to do something. Don't wait for the coronavirus crisis to dictate your decisions. Make sure you actively plan, enroll your people, and execute fast. Now, our company, you can do it in every way you like, as long as you keep the basic principle in place. Our company runs virtual hackathons for corporations. If you're interested, go to the video descriptions. You're welcome to contact us. My name is Dvir Tsanua. I'm from BLEE Hackathons. Thank you guys. Keep the ball rolling. Keep the market growing. Don't wait for the coronavirus. Don't wait for the coronavirus crisis to dictate your decision. Thank you for listening. Bye.